Welcome to the channel, Mystic Echoes. The Maesters' Deception, Laenor Velaryon's Hidden Story. In part 1 of the series, we delved into Archmaester Gyldayn's twisted take on history. He's trying to sell the idea that Laenor's sons aren't really his, and he might have bent the facts to paint the Black faction as more sinister than the Green crew. Here's the deal. Fire and Blood, the book in question, was penned by an Archmaester from the Citadel, funded by Hightower. And get this, it dropped a hefty 172 years after the Dance of the Dragons, relying on biased and sketchy sources. By the time this book hit the shelves, Targaryens had already lost their grip on Westeros. There's a solid chance that Gyldayn's playing fast and loose with history to make the Hightowers seem less wicked and power-hungry than they truly were, Lady Dustin makes this point in A Dance with Dragons. The Grey Rats read and write our letters, even for lords who can't read themselves. Who can say for sure that they're not twisting the words for their own ends? Mixing things up isn't anything new either. Martin did it even in the first book. In A Game of Thrones, Maester Luwin tells Ned that Benjen is okay with Jon joining the Night's Watch, but that's not true. When Jon talks to Ben about joining the Watch, Ben isn't okay with it. But Luwin changes things up to send Jon to the Night's Watch. In Fire and Blood, when Mysaria, Daemon's lover, lost her kid, Daemon apparently brooded day and night over succession, but that's kinda off. I mean, Mysaria losing Daemon's kid has nothing to do with who's gonna rule next. Daemon should be mad that he lost his child. Remember, Daemon was married to Lady Royce for more than 6 or 7 years and yet had no children. Then later, Daemon supposedly flipped out and whipped the dude who brought news about Viserys marrying Alicent. Why? Viserys is only 30. Daemon should know folks remarry. He, himself, was trying to take a second wife. He's got nothing to be mad about. He should be stressing about who's going to take over. Those maesters are just messing things up to make Daemon seem all power-hungry and evil. Same goes for the Black faction. Speaking of mixing things up a bit, especially regarding the Black faction sigil. It's said to be Rhaenyra's coat of arms, honoring Laenor and Aemma, but that's kinda off. The real deal is the Targaryen three-headed red dragon on black, teamed up with the moon and falcon sigil of House Arryn and the silver seahorse on sea green of House Velaryon. This combo is for Jace, Luke, and Joff, the sons of Laenor Velaryon, who's half Targaryen, and Rhaenyra Targaryen, who's half Arryn. Let's dive into the sigils of Big and Little Walder Frey. Turns out, both their personal coat of arms rock sigils from their paternal and maternal grandmother houses. What's interesting about Gyldayn's writing on Targaryen history is that Gyldayn casts doubt on the truth behind Corrian Wild's adventures. He says, her book, A Caution for Young Girls, can't be trusted. It was written a long time ago, and who knows if scribes added some false sensational stories later on. Of course, we can apply that same skepticism to Gyldayn and his book, Fire and Blood. Let's take a look at some examples of Gyldayn mixing things up and presenting false information. So, Gyldayn mentions Bormund as Rhaenys' great-uncle and Laenor's great-great-uncle during the Great Council at Harrenhal. But here's the deal, Bormund is actually the elder brother of Jocelyn Baratheon, which makes him an uncle to Rhaenys and a great-uncle to Laenor. Gyldayn is slyly changing the family connections, making it seem like Baratheons aren't really blood-related to the Black faction, or at least not closely tied to Jace, Luke, and Joffrey during the Dance of the Dragons. I wouldn't have caught this if I hadn't glanced at the family tree. Sneaky move by Gyldayn, right? And guess what? The mistake happens again. Borros calls Jocelyn his great-aunt instead of just an aunt when Luke shows up at Storm's End as an envoy. Borros is like, yeah, Princess Rhaenys is kin to me and mine. Some great-aunt I never knew was married to her father, but they're both dead now, and Rhaenyra, she's not Rhaenys, is she? Gyldayn is at it again, messing with the relationships. Borros is actually Rhaenys' cousin brother, Laenor's uncle, and Luke's great-uncle. Martin might be dropping hints here about something fishy happening at Storm's End among Borros, Aemond, and Luke. And there's more. Gyldayn writes that Borros of House Baratheon joined the Green faction after Aemond made a marriage alliance. But the truth is, Barrows entered the war after all his dragon-riding kin, Rhaenys, Luke, Jace, Joff, at the Black faction died. Clearly, he doesn't want to fight against his own family. But hey, here's a nugget for you. Jace, Luke, and Joff have a Baratheon ancestor. Their paternal grandmother has dark hair, and her mother also had black hair. So it should definitely play a part in Jace, Luke, and Joff's looks. Crazy family dynamics, right? Let's get a bit more science-y about hair color, considering Martin's more into the science fiction vibe.
These are not quite accurate for my dragons. These are not my dragons, because my dragons only have 2 legs. They don't have front legs. Other dragons, by fantasy writers, have 4 legs and wings. I just have 2 legs and wings.
Why?
Because it's more scientifically accurate. There's no animal on Earth that has 4 legs plus wings. Nobody has that sort of thing. So even though it's fantasy, I tried too much of a science fiction guy. I want to make it accurate here.
So, hair color boils down to this thing called melanin. The more melanin you got, the darker your hair, and less melanin means lighter hair. Now, the specific shade of your hair, like yellow, red, brown, or black, it's all about the ratio of black and brown eumelanin to red and yellow pheomelanin. Because the Baratheons are packing more melanin, and the Targaryens are on the lower melanin side, their mix should be somewhere in between on the melanin ratio scale. Jace, Luke, and Joff, with their Baratheon roots, gotta have some impact on their looks. Laenor and Laena should have had black or dark brown hair based on the Baratheon deal, but the books say otherwise, claiming they're rocking silver white/gold hair and purple eyes. I call foul. Gyldayn's messing with their hair color, just like he messed with the whole Bormund and Rhaenys relationship to boost the Green faction story that Jace, Luke, and Joff are illegitimate. This ain't the first time folks are spreading bunk info. Look at A Clash of Kings, where Littlefinger spreads a rumor that Shireen is Patchface Kid. Now, in the main series, Baratheon kids rocking Baratheon traits is a big deal in A Game of Thrones. That's why Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen aren't considered Robert's legit offspring. So why the heck do Laena and Laenor have silver hair instead of the expected black or dark brown? On the genetics front, checking fire and blood, there's no mention that Harwin, Larys, and Lionel Strong sport brown hair, brown eyes, and a pug nose. Archmaester Gyldayn's spinning tales, and none of his sources straight up say Rhaenyra's kids are Harwin's bastards. He just hints at it. No text, no statements, nada. Laenor and Rhaenyra can totally have brown-haired kids thanks to Laenor's Baratheon roots. Gyldayn's just rewriting history, leaning towards House Hightower after House Targaryen bit the dust. That's it for this video. In the next video, we will explore Gyldayn's mixed-up takes on Laenor's love life.